The housing market just got canceled. In this video, I want to share with you a new report that was just released on the housing market and how some of these cracks are starting to intensify. So let's get into it and discuss all those details. Now, don't get me wrong, I completely understand the real estate market is still relatively strong across the entire country. However, over the last few months here, we have started to see some of these markets across the country slowing down and softening up a little bit, and we're starting to see some of these cracks intensifying, including inventories sitting on the market for even longer. We're starting to see prices coming down and price cuts across some of these markets, as well as we're also seeing buyers just plain old walking away from this market, and they're even walking away from deals. At the same time, interest rates are not helping the equation at all. So in this video, I do want to talk about that new report that was just released based on real estate transactions for the month of June, where we currently sit, and what this means for the real estate market, otherwise known as the housing market, going forward as of right now. Which, by the way, I'm recording this video in mid-July. So if we fast forward a couple months from right now, and if you happen to be watching this video in, say, August or September, or maybe in the later part of 2022, I'm sure it's going to be a totally different market. However, as of right now, I do want to talk through these details because this report is showing that we're starting to see some trends in this housing market right now that we haven't seen for a couple years. But again, don't get me wrong, the housing market has been on an absolute tear over the last couple years here. Prices have moved up very, very significantly, which is completely abnormal for the housing market. Generally, the market goes up anywhere between about 3 and 6% per year. Again, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, based on different markets around the country, but just in general, that is usually the growth for the real estate market on an ongoing basis on any typical year. The last couple years that we've seen here, prices have gone up significantly more than the averages. Well, if you know anything about any of the markets, like the housing market, crypto, stocks, anything like this, no market should be moving up that aggressively that fast. So we kind of all knew that this was going to be coming in the real estate market. We just didn't really know when, but at the same time, it was kind of a clear indication. When we started to see the Federal Reserve coming out and interest rates moving up, we knew that it was probably coming relatively quickly here. And as rates continue to move higher, then we're probably just going to see this intensify even more through the real estate market. So let's quickly talk about this new report that was just released, and I want to share with you how this actually leads to maybe some problems going forward with the real estate market. So here's what we found. In the month of June, buyers walked away as in canceled transaction in the largest numbers that we've seen since April of 2020. Let me give you the numbers behind this. So just in June alone of 2022, so last month, we saw 60,000 transactions across the entire country canceled. In other words, buyers came in, they gave their offers, they got the offer accepted, we were getting ready to go to closing, and all of a sudden they said, yeah, it's just not going to work for me anymore. For whatever reason, maybe there was an inspection and the inspector found something big, maybe a big costly repair, or maybe, a whole variety of different reasons. Or maybe they looked at the current situation with interest rates and they said, this is nuts. I'm not comfortable paying anymore 5.75%, 6%, 5.5%, even though interest rates as of right now are more around about 5.3% range around there. Interest rates are about double what they were at the beginning of this year. So just in the last 6.5 months alone, interest rates on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage have essentially doubled. Well, that's adding a lot of extra money toward your monthly payment, and of course how much money you're going to be paying in interest throughout the course of the entire year. So you can see here, this is just one reason why many buyers are simply saying, yeah, I think I'm going to wait this one out for a little bit longer. Rates are not that bad now. Don't get me wrong. They're very bad compared to where they were earlier this year, or they're probably going to be a lot worse as we go forward, especially after the next FOMC meeting here in a matter of just a couple weeks, as they're likely going to jack rates even higher. And that's going to translate into interest rates on mortgages as well. But here, get this. By the way, that 60,000 transactions that were canceled in the month of June, that represents about 15% of the total transactions in the entire month of June, okay? So about 15% were canceled, 60,000 transactions canceled. That's a lot. Now get this. In April of 2021, there were about 11% of transactions canceled. And then again, that was kind of almost like a super hot time in the market. The market was very, very hot. Houses were hitting the market and being snapped up pretty much immediately. There were tons of pre-market sales. There were all kinds of things. Inventory was flying off the shelf. It's still kind of flying off the shelf today, but it's not nearly at the rate that it was earlier this year and even last year in 2021. But get this, the last time that we saw this many cancellations in one single month, as in 60,000 cancellations, or about 15% of the total transactions canceled, was in April of 2020. Any guesses why? Yeah, of course you do. Because we were in the lockdown phase of the COVID situation. There was a lot going on. So realistically, that was not necessarily a real estate anomaly, but rather that was something more pegged to the COVID situation and lockdowns. So it's kind of understandable that we did have quite a bit of transactions that were canceled in the month of April in 2020. I mean, it was all because of the whole lockdown and basically everything closing down for a while there in early 2020. So kind of interesting. But the month of June, just last month alone, we're starting to see that once again, a lot more people walking away from transactions. Kind of interesting, right? So I'm not sure where you're located around the country, but again, I like to look at real estate very closely because this is an indicator, gives us an idea of what are people thinking right now. Because if people are not secure in their jobs, if people are moving around a lot, real estate's not going to perform all that well. Because do you think somebody that's not feeling all that comfortable in their job, or if they're not getting the money that they want, or they're not getting a pay raise, or money is really tight, do you think they're going to be going out buying all kinds of houses? Probably not, right? So I like to watch real estate very closely, just like I like to watch the stock market, crypto, interest rates. I like to watch all this stuff very closely because it's highly correlated. But in my market, as I'm continuing to watch everything closely, I'm certainly seeing a lot of inventory that's sitting on the market a lot longer. Don't get me wrong, earlier this year, a house would hit the market and boom, it was gone, like immediately, right? All last year in 2021, same thing. House hits the market and it's like, wait, what happened to that one? Oh, it's gone already. It's been on the market for 13 minutes and it's sold, right? You've probably been seeing this in your markets as well. It's very interesting to see this. However, now as I continue to look at the market, it's like, oh, look at this one. It's been sitting here for a week. What's going on, right? It's also interesting too, because I've started to see houses coming in that generally would have been listed for a much higher price that are coming in at much lower prices these days. And I'm even starting to see some prices coming in that are actually being cut. In fact, I just saw one today. I just got a notification about it a short time ago before recording this video, and it was cut $100,000. Unbelievable. You don't see that much anymore these days, right? So I could not believe it when I saw that price because I thought, that's a big one. I typically don't see price cuts that intense, right? That was a big one. So in other words, that seller wants to get out of that property and they want to get out of it fast, right? So anyway, it's going to be interesting to watch this market play out here. And again, like I said, some of these cracks are starting to intensify. Here's what's interesting about the real estate market. It's generally a very slow moving market. Where we see the crypto market, we see the stock market, it could whip around 1%, 2%, 5, 6, 7% in a single day. And it's not even that big of a deal. However, the real estate market, it's a very slow moving market. The real estate market goes up slowly and it goes down slowly historically. However, like I said earlier, the last couple of years here since 2020 into present right now, the real estate market has gone on an absolute tear. It has gone up way more significantly than what it typically does. And that should be the warning sign number one, because anytime that you see any market moving significantly faster than it historically does, that should be a huge sign that a big parabolic or hyperbolic move is moving in one direction, and that's not natural. The market will revert back to the mean at some point. And I wouldn't be shocked to see that in the real estate market as well. But this is giving us a little bit more of an indication right here for the month of June. Once again, seeing all these cancellations coming in. 15% of the total transactions canceled. Buyers saying, I'm out of here. I'm done. For whatever reason, doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is people are walking away from transactions. And I'm going to throw this out there really quickly as well. In about 2 weeks' time from right now, the Federal Reserve will be meeting once again for their July FOMC meeting. As they come together and meet for that, they're going to be jacking up rates once again. The consensus right now is that they're going to be raising interest rates anywhere between about 75 basis points up to 100 basis points. Well, guess what? That is in relation to the federal funds rate, as in how much it costs banks to lend overnight to each other. However, it all translates once again into interest rates on everything else, including mortgages, 30-year fixed rate mortgages, adjustable rate mortgages, 15-year mortgages, all of it. It all translates into this. So with interest rates currently sitting at about 5.3%, give or take a little bit there, but it's about 5.3% according to the last report that I saw. this is just going to jack rates up even more. In fact, they're anticipating a solid 6% handle on interest rates by the end of this year. Is that going to entice more buyers to step into the market or not? Well, I can tell you this much. For the people that are getting loans, it's not going to be enticing to get into the market. However, I have to throw this one out there as well. About 33% or 1/3 of the transactions that are happening right now are cash transactions. Do you think cash buyers care about interest rates? Well, they care for one reason. They care because it's way less competition in the market, right? Cash buyers don't worry about interest rates. They come into the market and they say, hey, check it out. All those people that were going to get loans, they're out of the market or they're starting to exit the market now. That just means more for us, right? So that's what they mean when cash buyers step into a market. It's great for them when interest rates go up because they don't care about interest rates and it just means less competition. Therefore, they can probably get the homes that they want at the prices that they want because cash is usually always king, right? So anyway, kind of interesting. There's a lot of things going on right now, and I wanted to point out the latest details on the housing market and what we need to watch going forward. But this report is a little bit interesting to see. And of course, we'll have to see what the next report comes out as next month when we see for July. Are we going to continue to see this trend going on where more and more transactions are canceled? If that is, that's going to be a major red flag going forward because that just means all that inventory that was on the market and got pulled off because the transactions were, the offers were accepted, they were going to closing, and then all of a sudden it hits the market again because cancellations. It just means that that's not necessarily a good sign, right? So anyway, I'll continue to keep an eye on this, just like I'm watching everything else out there. So if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting that button right down below. It's totally free to do so, and so I can keep you updated each and every day with everything going on right now during this very busy time, and realistically, just a really weird time that we're living through. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below, share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the other thousands of videos right here on the channel. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one, stay safe out there, enjoy, and I'll catch you again later in the next video. I'll see you for now.